So you need a pickup truck, but you don't want to pay an outrageous amount of money in fuel bills. Is there a solution? Well, yes there is, and both Ford and Ram have alternative engines to the thirsty V8s. So let's go for a drive and find out which is best. Under the hood of the new Ford F-150 is a 3.5-liter turbocharged V6 engine, and EcoBoost. But what makes this one so different is the integration of an electric motor into the transmission. Total system output is 430 horsepower and 570 pound-feet of torque. Apart from the Raptor engine, this is the next most powerful engine that you can get in an F-150. And best of all, you can have this engine in any trim level, so long as it's with the crew cab configuration. In terms of outright performance, this hybrid V6 has plenty of gusto. Even though this truck weighs 2.5 tons, as soon as you put your foot down and the transmission downshifts, you are really going. But the other part of the equation is fuel efficiency. This hybrid V6 is rated for 9.8 liters per 100 kilometers in a city and 9.7 liters per 100 kilometers on a highway, and that's with the 4x4 system. If you get it with just 4x2, then the fuel economy numbers are a little bit better. During my time with the F-150, I averaged an overall fuel economy rating of around 10.3 liters per 100 kilometers. But on a few of my shorter trips, I noticed that I could average as low as 9 liters per 100 kilometers if I was gentle on the throttle and wasn't using the climate control. While the Ram 1500 has a V8 with a very mild hybrid system, which they call e-torque, it's not quite the same thing as Ford's hybrid system. Instead, Ram still relies on their 3-liter EcoDiesel V6 engine for achieving high fuel economy numbers. This 3-liter V6 EcoDiesel produces 260 horsepower and 480 pound-feet of torque. That's actually best in class for the diesels of the 1500s. This EcoDiesel V6 engine doesn't quite have the same responsiveness as the hybrid powertrain in the Ford, but it'll still give you a good kick to the backside when setting off from a stop. But of course, the reason why you would consider the EcoDiesel over the Hemi V8 and the Ram 1500 is fuel economy. This engine is rated at 8 liters per 100 kilometers on a highway and 11.1 liters per 100 kilometers in a city. So far, I've been driving mostly city. About 80% of my driving so far has been city, and I'm averaging about 10.7, 10.8 liters per 100 kilometers. If you're going to be doing a lot of highway driving, then this truck with this engine is the one to go for. Made it to the engine, and actually all the engines with this Ram 1500 Limited, is an 8-speed automatic transmission. And this is genuinely the best transmission of all these 1500 pickup trucks. The shifts are buttery smooth, and as soon as you put your foot down, it's very quick to react. I'm in 7th right now, put my foot down to 4th, just like that. In the F-150 Powerboost, you get a 10-speed automatic transmission. For the most part, it does a good enough job of providing quick and smooth gear changes, but it has some odd characteristics. There's a row of numbers just underneath the tachometer, and that's to tell you what gear you're in. And I've noticed that when accelerating from a stop, just normal acceleration, nothing heavy, it goes from 1st to 3rd. It completely skips 2nd gear. And it's the same thing when you're slowing down. So it goes 5, 4, 3, 1. It completely skips 2nd. The only time I noticed it actually going into 2nd gear is when you're in sport mode or when you're in tow haul mode. Other than that, under normal driving conditions, it'll continue to skip second gear. And the shift between first to third or third to first is actually quite rough. So I'm not sure why Ford's engineers programmed the transmission to be like this, because the rest of the gear shifts are very smooth. In fact, you won't even notice the shifts. But from first to third or third to first, you really notice that shift. Taking the Ford F-150 around a few corners feels like you're almost like in a boat. So the suspension is a little on the soft side, actually quite a bit on the soft side. So when you're really throwing the truck through corners, there's a lot of body roll. It has enough grip for a pickup truck, but it just feels very unsettling. There are a couple of off-road drive mode settings should you want to take the Ford F-150 off the beaten path, and there's a locking rear differential that is standard on the hybrid powertrain. As for the handling dynamics of the Ram 1500, it's not much better even with the optional air suspension. Steering is direct, but the body rolls around corners just like in the F-150, which honestly, it's fine for trucks like these. They don't have a TRX or Raptor badge on the tailgate. The Ram 1500 is easily the most comfortable pickup truck on the market right now thanks to the optional air suspension. It can raise from a low entry height to an off-road 2 height. Even with these optional 22-inch wheels and low-profile tires, road bumps are easily absorbed by the air suspension. The front seats are fantastic when it comes to providing comfort. You can go for a long while before needing to stop and stretch. Speaking of stretching, you can pretty much do that in the back of this crew cab. The Ram 1500 has more rear legroom than its competitors, which makes it feel like you're in a cathedral. Headroom is also plentiful even with the addition of the panoramic sunroof. The rear seats can also recline for added comfort, or they can be lifted for underseat cargo storage. As well, they are ventilated on this limited trim. In terms of noise, the cabin is actually very well insulated. At idle, you don't even hear this engine. It's only when you really put your foot down do you start to hear that diesel engine. Granted, it's not the best sound. A V8 is obviously going to sound a lot better than this. But when you're just cruising on a highway, the most noise that you're going to hear is a little bit of tire noise and a little bit of wind noise. Other than that, it's a very, very quiet interior and a very nice place to be in. Inside this new F-150 Powerboost hybrid, it's business as usual with this crew cab because there is plenty of space regardless whether you sit in the front or in the back. Up in the front, legroom and headroom for someone of my height at 6'4" is plentiful. These seats are unfortunately not the ones where you can recline all the way back, make them fold completely flat and sleep in them, but they are still very comfortable. Right now this seat is in my driving position, so here in the back, plenty of legroom. There isn't quite as much legroom in the back here, on paper at least, compared to the Ram 1500. That one still has more. But this F-150 has more legroom and headroom than the Chevy Silverado and GMC Sierra. Almost forgot those names for some reason. Anyway, these seats, they do lift up, and there's a little box in here that you can raise and lower to store smaller items. And you can also lock this box as well, so you can store valuables in here. The seats are heated, but unfortunately they're not ventilated like how you can get in the Ram 1500, and they don't recline like again how you can get in the Ram 1500. But plenty of space, and this is actually a really nice place to be in. As for when driving the Ford F-150 hybrid, it is as quiet as a luxury sedan when it's being propelled by electricity and at city driving speeds. On highways, you notice a bit more road and wind noise, but it's nothing to get worked up about. One thing to note if you do a lot of highway driving, the soft suspension, when unloaded, tends to make the truck feel a bit floaty at times. But other than that, the suspension does a great job of isolating bumps from intruding into the cabin. The Ram Limited is available with a 5'7" or 6'4" length bed. This particular demo had the shorter bed along with the Ram box, which are the lockable boxes to either side of the bed. These do take away from the overall bed width though. The new tailgate does allow for easier reaching capability into the bed when it's opened in its barn door configuration. As for that 60-40 split fold when the tailgate is down, don't worry, it can still hold up to 2,000 pounds of cargo. The F-150 Powerboost is available with a 5.5 foot or 6.5 foot length bed. The big change to the F-150 with the hybrid powertrain is the addition of the onboard power system. You can get it as a 2.4 kilowatt or a 7.2 kilowatt. The first allows for two 120 volt power outlets, while the latter has a 240 volts 30 amp outlet and four 120 volt outlets. So not only can you power a few tools, but also something as big as a welder. As for this tailgate, it is now a power tailgate, but it's not just power down, it also goes power up. So you can use it by pressing the button right here, but it's a little bit of a stretch. Or you can use the remote, just double tap it and it'll go back up. There's also a button inside that'll lower and raise the tailgate, or you can just raise it halfway and then it'll just keep going up. Of course, this being a Ford, it has the tailgate step. However, I personally still like GMC's multi-pro tailgate a little bit more. It just offers a bit more versatility, and I feel a little bit more comfortable with that tailgate step than I do with this one. But other features on this new tailgate include holes here to put clamps if you want to clamp down some 2x4s or whatever it may be. There's a ruler built right into the tailgate, cup holder, pencil holders, and cell phone holders or small tablets. As for convenience features, both pickup trucks can be similarly equipped. They both have satellite navigation, leather upholstery, heated and ventilated front seats, heated rear seats, as well as ventilated in the Ram Limited, panoramic sunroofs, power side steps, LED headlights, surround view cameras, and a full suite of advanced driver and safety aids, to name a few. Both of these trucks also have 12-inch infotainment screens, but obviously they are oriented differently. In the Ram, it doesn't feel overly distracting when driving, and the infotainment system is the Uconnect 4, but for the 2022 model year, it will be upgraded to the Uconnect 5 system. In the F-150, it utilizes Ford's latest infotainment system, Sync 4. It is a responsive and beautiful infotainment system to look at. The hybrid powertrain in the F-150 is available on all trims so long as it's with the crew cab configuration, and it's a 2,500 to 5,750 Canadian dollar option, depending on the trim level. The EcoDiesel engine is available on Rebel and higher trim levels of the Ram 1500, and it's a 3,900 Canadian dollar option. So in the end, which pickup truck is better? That's a tough one to say. I really like the hybrid powertrain of the Ford F-150, but I prefer the interior and ride comfort of the Ram 1500. If you want to know more about either of these trucks, I wrote more detailed reviews of them over on my website. You can find the links in the video description. And as always, I will see you in the next car or truck or most likely an SUV. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and see you in the next video.